My name is Liliana Hawkins, and I'm 27 years old. If you had asked me a month ago, I would have told you I was living the kind of life I'd always dreamed of. A steady job I didn't hate, a cozy apartment with the man I loved, and the quiet confidence that our future was already written, we just hadn't gotten to the proposal part yet. That man was Ryan. 3 years together, and though we had our ups and downs, I believed in us. I was there when his father got sick, when he lost his job, and spent weeks doubting himself when he finally found a new path. Through everything, I thought we were building something solid, something permanent. But sometimes permanence is just an illusion. It was an ordinary Tuesday night. We were sprawled on the couch, half watching a Netflix series. We'd both already forgotten the plot of when Ryan's phone buzzed. At first, I didn't think anything of it. But then I saw his whole body change, the way his shoulders stiffened, the way his hand froze above the screen. "Everything okay?" I asked, casual but curious. His eyes flicked to me. "It's Samantha." The name sliced through me like glass. Samantha. His ex. The one he'd been with for 5 years. The one who dumped him in an email with a single line, "I need to be free to chase my career." The one he still cried about the first 6 months of us dating. My heart thudded. What does she want? Ryan swallowed his thumb, hovering above the screen. He looked like a man staring into a mirror that showed him another life. She says, she made a mistake. That therapy helped her realize I was the one that got away. I didn't move, didn't breathe. It was surreal hearing those words spoken aloud in our living room, beneath the soft glow of the lamp we'd picked out together. "She wants to meet Ryan," continued quieter now. "Just to talk. Maybe closure." The word closure tasted bitter on my tongue. Closure after 3 years with me. Closure after we'd built a home together, made plans, whispered about rings and vows. Closure, I repeated, my voice thin. He rubbed his jaw, not meeting my eyes. Part of me wonders what would have happened if she hadn't left. We had plans, you know. And now she's saying all the things I used to want to hear back then. The silence between us grew heavy, pressing down on my chest. I thought about every sacrifice I'd made for him. Every late night, every tear, every moment I carried us both when he couldn't carry himself. "So what about our plans?" I whispered. Ryan finally looked at me then, and for the first time in years, I didn't recognize him. His face was full of longing, but not for me. I need to know for sure," he said. "I owe it to myself." I felt something inside me crack, sharp and quiet. There are moments in life when you expect to scream, to beg, to fight. But instead, a strange calm settles over you, as if your body knows it's useless to struggle against the inevitable. I forced myself to nod. "Follow your heart, Ryan." His brows knitted. "That's it. You're not going to fight for me." I almost laughed. Fight for him. After everything I had already fought for, only to be left standing here invisible. "You just told me you want to give your ex another chance," I said softly. "What's there to fight for?" The words hung between us like smoke, and though I delivered them quietly, I saw the shock ripple across his face. I turned back to the flickering screen, pretending to watch the actors move across a world that suddenly felt so far away from mine. My heart, however, was somewhere else, entirely beating in a hollow space where love used to live. And deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The days after that conversation felt like living in a house with invisible cracks. You couldn't see them at first, but you could hear them. Faint creaks in the silence, the kind that made you wonder if the walls were going to collapse. Ryan didn't bother hiding it. His phone buzzed constantly, and every time his lips curved into a smile he hadn't worn for me in months. He laughed at messages while I stirred pasta on the stove. He whispered into the bathroom late at night, shutting the door, but forgetting that sound travels. It wasn't even the secrecy that hurt most, it was the disrespect. He didn't care if I saw. In some twisted way, I think he wanted me to. One night while I set plates down at the table, he barely looked up from his screen. "Don't wait for me. Samantha's going through a rough time, and I need to be there for her." I sighed, "Be there for her." The words made me grip the edge of the counter so hard my knuckles went white. I used to be the person he needed to lean on. Now I was just the roommate footing half the bills. The silence at dinner grew unbearable. I chewed alone, the sound of his typing filling the room like static. By the third week, even neighbors began to notice. Mrs. Patterson from 4B stopped me in the hallway. "Sweetheart, you all right? You look thinner." Her pitying eyes nearly undid me. I smiled, lied, and said work had been stressful. But the truth was the stress had a name. Then came Ethan, Ryan's best friend. The one who'd been in our orbit for years, showing up at barbecues, helping with moves, Always the guy cracking jokes at the wrong time, but somehow making everyone laugh. When he texted me, I almost didn't respond. Heard about what's going on. You doing okay? Part of me wanted to say, of course I am, to maintain the facade. But another part, the bruised, exhausted part, finally typed back. Not really. He's basically dating her while living here. Ethan's reply came fast. That's trash behavior. You deserve better. I stared at those words longer than I should have. Nobody had said that to me in weeks. Not even to remind me that I wasn't crazy for feeling betrayed. We ended up talking more that night. At first about Ryan, then about work, then about everything in between. Ethan wasn't pushy, wasn't pitying, just present. The next day, another text, hey, random question. You free for dinner Thursday? I froze. Dinner with Ethan. My instinct screamed complicated, but his next message stilled me. I know it's messy, but you shouldn't have to eat alone while he's out playing soulmates with her. I chewed my lip, weighing the danger against the relief. Then my fingers moved almost on their own. Okay. Where? The Lantern, 7 p.m. My heart lurched. The Lantern, our place. The restaurant Ryan and I had claimed as ours, the one with the little copper lanterns on every table and the waitstaff who knew our orders by memory. Bold, painful, deliciously cruel. I typed back, that's risky. That's the point, he replied. Thursday arrived like a storm cloud I couldn't avoid. Ryan left at 6 sharp cologne, heavy in the air, murmuring something about meeting Samantha for just a drink. I sat on the couch, staring at the door, after it shut, letting the silence settle over me. Then at 6:30, Ethan pulled up outside. I hadn't expected to feel nervous, but as I slipped into his car, my stomach fluttered. He glanced at me, a quiet smile playing on his lips. You sure about this? Never been less sure about anything, I admitted with a shaky laugh. He chuckled. Then let's be unsure together. When we walked into the Lantern, everything slowed. Monica, the waitress who always served Ryan and me, froze mid-step. Her eyes flicked from me to Ethan, then to the table by the window, the one Ryan and I had always insisted on. No Ryan tonight, she asked carefully. Not tonight, I said evenly. This is Ethan. Her brows lifted slightly, but she didn't comment. Instead, she seated us right at that window table as though fate wanted me to make this choice with no room for half measures. Halfway through appetizers, I realized something shocking. I was enjoying myself. Ethan was funny, attentive, genuinely curious about my work. He didn't scroll through his phone or zone out when I talked. He looked at me like what I said mattered. Halfway through his story about a disastrous camping trip, my phone vibrated violently. Ryan. Notification after notification. Are you serious right now? The Lantern, our place with Ethan. I turned the screen toward Ethan. He glanced at it, then lifted his glass with a smirk. To clarity, he said softly. I clinked my glass against his, to new beginnings. And as the warmth of the wine slid down my throat, I realized Ryan had just lost the first real battle without me even lifting a finger. The fallout didn't take long. By the time Ethan dropped me home, my phone was buzzing like a hornet's nest. Dozens of unread messages from Ryan. How could you, with Ethan of all people, at our place? I muted the thread and set the phone face down on the counter. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't the one scrambling to explain myself. But I should have known peace wouldn't last. At 10:15, the apartment door rattled, then swung open. Ryan stormed inside, face-flushed hair wild. And trailing behind him, smirking like she owned the place, was Samantha. The sight of them together in my doorway was surreal, like watching a bad dream march straight into my living room. You've got some nerve, Liliana, Ryan spat, slamming the door shut. I looked up slowly from the couch, keeping my voice steady. Do I? With him, Ryan's voice cracked. My best friend at the Lantern. I tilted my head. Bold words coming from someone who's been parading his ex in and out of my life for weeks. Samantha stepped forward, arms crossed, her perfume thick and cloying. Don't try to twist this. You were clearly trying to hurt him. I laughed short and bitter. Funny. I thought the hurt started the night Ryan told me he needed to see where things go with you. Ryan's jaw clenched. You could have talked to me instead of what I snapped, finally rising to my feet. Instead of sitting here night after night while you text her in my kitchen. Instead of pretending not to notice when you come home smelling like cheap whiskey and nostalgia. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by Samantha's scoff. This is pathetic, she sneered. You're just jealous. Ethan doesn't want you. He just wants to get back at Ryan. I took a step closer, lowering my voice until it cut sharp. Funny. That's exactly what you're doing. Using Ryan to prove you can still have what you threw away. For the first time, her smile faltered. Ryan tried to regain control. This is my apartment too, Liliana. You don't get to. Actually, I cut in, pointing toward the kitchen counter where the lease sat in a neat folder. It's not. My name's on the lease. You're month to month. His eyes widened. You can't be serious. Dead serious, I said. You want to explore your second chance with Samantha Fine, but not while living here, eating my food and using my utilities. Samantha let out a mocking laugh. You'd really kick him out over one mistake. One mistake. My voice rose sharp and shaking. 3 years together and he threw it away the second you texted him. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. Ryan's voice cracked again. Where am I supposed to go? I looked at Samantha, then back at him. Maybe she has space. Her cheeks reddened. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, avoiding her gaze. Don't look at me, she muttered. My place is complicated right now. I arched a brow. Right. Then maybe you can stay with her mom. Isn't that where you've been spending half your nights anyway? Ryan's face darkened, but he had no rebuttal. I grabbed my phone, thumbs flying. Consider this your 30 days notice. I'll email it in the morning. You're really kicking me out, he asked, voice cracking between anger and disbelief. No, Ryan, I said, quieter now, the finality heavy in my chest. You kicked yourself out the second you chose her over us. Tears sprang to his eyes, but before he could say another word, Samantha yanked on his arm. Come on, Ryan. She's not worth it. As they moved towards the door, Samantha paused, her eyes glittering with spite. You're going to regret this. Ethan's only using you because he couldn't stand being second best. I met her gaze steady and unblinking. If that's true, then at least he chose me. Unlike you two, you chose each other to prove a point neither of you even believe. Her face flushed crimson, and without another word, they stormed out. The door slammed behind them, rattling the frame. For a long time, I just stood there staring at the empty space where they'd been. My body trembled with adrenaline, but beneath it was something else, a strange, simmering calm. Because for the first time in weeks, the choice wasn't his. It was mine. And I had chosen to end the game before it destroyed me. What I didn't know was that this was only round one. The morning after I gave Ryan his 30 days, my inbox lit up. Subject line regarding tenant rights. It was an article link from Ryan. He'd highlighted phrases about squatters' rights and tenant protections. Beneath it, his smug little note, Nice try Liliana. You can't just throw me out. I almost laughed. He wasn't on the lease, and every payment came from my account. He was bluffing, grasping at straws. I forwarded it to my friend Jenna, a lawyer, who called within minutes, half chuckling. Tell him to pack his bags. Legally, you've done everything right. If he pushes, he'll be the one in trouble. For a brief moment, I felt empowered, until Ryan's next move. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with a notification from Instagram. A new post from him, a photo of us from last year's vacation, captioned, "Remember when promises meant something?" The comments piled in: old friends, coworkers, even distant relatives. Sympathy for him, suspicion toward me. He wanted to paint me as the heartless girlfriend who tossed him aside. But then Samantha doubled down. She posted her own photo, her hand entwined with his, captioned, "Sometimes fate gives you a second chance at true love." The comments weren't as kind this time. People remembered the history. "Didn't you dump him?" one wrote. Another. "So he left his girlfriend for you." That's not love, that's recycling. Still, the damage stung. It felt like standing in a crowded square while your ex read your diary aloud. By the end of the week, even Ryan's mother called me. "Liliana, what is this I'm hearing? You're evicting my son." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "With all due respect, Mrs. Clark, he's been living here rent-free while openly dating his ex. What did you expect me to do?" Silence hummed on the other end. Then, in a voice tinged with reluctant honesty, she sighed. "Ryan's always had this problem, chasing after what he doesn't have. I'm sorry you got caught in it, dear." Her quiet admission floored me. Even his own mother saw the pattern. But Ryan wasn't finished. The following Monday, I came home to find my living room gutted. My Xbox was gone, my coffee maker, my air fryer, even all my phone chargers. Rage flared. I texted him instantly. "Return my things or I'm filing a police report." His reply, "What things? They were ours." I snapped photos of receipts, each one in my name, and sent them with a single line, "Try again." An hour later, the items reappeared on my doorstep, dumped carelessly, my Xbox scratched across the top like a scar. It wasn't about the stuff. It was about control. About seeing if he could still rattle me. That night, Ethan stopped by. I hadn't planned on telling him everything, but the words spilled out over mugs of tea at my kitchen counter. How Ryan was trying to twist the story. How Samantha painted herself as some tragic heroine. how exhausted I was from playing defense. Ethan listened, brow furrowed, his hand resting lightly over mine on the counter. "You don't deserve this," he said simply. "You've carried him for years, and this is how he thanks you. No. Enough." Something in me cracked, not from pain, but from relief. To hear someone say aloud what I'd been too afraid to believe, that I wasn't crazy or cruel or disposable, that I was enough. Meanwhile, Ryan and Samantha paraded their reunion like a trophy. I saw them once at a small concert clinging to each other like teenagers. He spotted me across the room. His smirk faltered when he saw Ethan beside me, his arm slung casually across the back of my chair. Samantha whispered something in his ear, but her eyes never left mine. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about love for her. It was about winning, about proving she could still take him back whenever she wanted. The irony was sharp. She hadn't won anything. She'd just picked up what she'd already thrown away. Later that week, close to midnight, my phone lit up with a drunken message from Ryan. "You'll always be mine." My stomach twisted, not from longing, but from disgust. Because for the first time since this began, I finally saw the truth. He wasn't in love with me, or with Samantha. Ryan was in love with possession. And that was something I would never allow again. By the following week, the story Ryan and Samantha spun around themselves began to crack. Ryan tried first. He told anyone who would listen that I was controlling, that I'd checked his phone, monitored his spending, kept him from seeing friends. At first, some people bought it. Mutual friends sent cautious texts. "Hey, just checking in. Is everything okay?" But then receipts started surfacing, screenshots, old group chats, photos of Ryan out with friends while I stayed home, never once saying a word. The lies didn't stick. Then Samantha decided to take center stage. She posted a photo of her and Ryan at a cafe, her head tilted dreamily onto his shoulder. The caption, "Finally with my soulmate. 3 years of settling taught me what real love isn't." Within an hour, the comments poured in. "Wait, didn't you dump him years ago? Isn't this the ex who ghosted you, girl? You broke them up. That's not love, that's sabotage." By the time I checked back later, the post was gone. Deleted, but screenshots were already circulating in group chats. No amount of damage control could erase the stain. The breaking point came at a mutual friend's birthday party. I hadn't planned to go, but Ethan insisted. "You can't hide forever," he said. "Besides, you've got nothing to be ashamed of." When we walked in, conversations hushed for a beat. Ryan and Samantha were already there, arms linked, trying too hard to look happy. Halfway through the night, Samantha cornered me near the drinks table. "So she said," voice dripping with mock sweetness, "enjoying your little rebound with Ethan." I met her eyes steady. "Enjoying your second round with Ryan." Her smile faltered. "He came back to me because he loves me." I tilted my head. "Funny. He told me you reached out first." Her cheeks flushed. "That's not—" From behind her, Ryan stiffened. "Wait. What do you mean she reached out first?" The music seemed to fade. Everyone nearby turned to listen. I folded my arms. "Ryan, didn't she tell you? She contacted you, liked your old photos, slid back into your messages." Ryan's brow furrowed, confusion flashing across his face. "Samantha, is that true?" Her mouth opened, then shut. For once, she didn't have a rehearsed line ready. Someone in the crowd muttered, "Yikes." The humiliation spread across her face like wildfire. I almost felt sorry for Ryan in that moment. Almost. Because the truth was, he hadn't been chosen. He'd been manipulated, used to stroke the ego of a woman who couldn't stand being forgotten. And now everyone saw it. On the ride home, Ethan glanced at me, his expression unreadable. "How do you feel?" I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Lighter. Like I've been carrying a secret I didn't even know about, and now it's not mine to carry anymore. He reached for my hand, not forceful, just gentle. "You don't need to carry anything alone anymore." His words settled into me like an anchor. For the first time, I wasn't floating in chaos. I was grounded. And as I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, a quiet realization surfaced. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to ruin them. They were doing a fine job of ruining themselves. The 30th day came like a finish line I wasn't sure I'd ever cross. That morning, I woke early, methodical. I had packed Ryan's things neatly in boxes stacked by the door, folded his clothes, even washed them. Not because I wanted to be kind, but because I wanted to be done. I wasn't going to let bitterness define me. By noon, I heard the rumble of a U-Haul pulling into the lot. Moments later, the door burst open. Ryan walked in first. Head low, hands jammed in his pockets. Samantha trailed behind, sunglasses perched on her head, though it was cloudy outside. Her energy filled the room like static, sharp, restless, dangerous. Where's my grandmother's vase? She demanded before I could even say hello. I blinked. What vase? The blue one. You mean my blue vase? The one I bought at Home Goods? I stepped into the kitchen and gestured toward the counter. It's right there because it belongs to me. Her nostrils flared. That was mine. I pulled out the receipt from the folder on the counter, laying it flat like a playing card. Funny. My name says otherwise. Her eyes narrowed. Unbelievable. The performance continued as she tore through the boxes. The TV mine. Nope. Bought it before we met. The couch, you can't take that from me. It was a gift from my parents. At one point, she pulled out my grandmother's old cookbook, the one passed down through generations. This too. My voice dropped into steel. Put it down. She froze. The room went silent, except for the thudding of my pulse. Samantha set it back, muttering something about me being dramatic. Ryan stood by the door the entire time, scrolling through his phone as if detachment would save him from the mess he had created. Then the knock came. I opened the door to find Ethan holding a takeout bag with a sheepish grin. Brought lunch. Thought you might need it. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Samantha's face twisted when she saw him. You invited him here. During this, I set the bag down calmly. He brought me food. Because he's considerate like that. Her voice rose to a shriek. This is humiliating. You brought your rebound into what used to be our home. I folded my arms. No. Humiliating is cheating on your partner, then expecting to live off their kindness while flaunting your new fling. She whirled on Ethan, eyes burning. How can you even stand yourself? You were supposed to be his best friend. Ethan met her gaze evenly. His voice was calm, but it cut like glass. Ryan broke what he had. I just refused to let Liliana suffer for it. For the first time, Samantha had no quick retort. Ryan finally looked up from his phone, voice low. Samantha, can we just go? We'll be late. Late for what? She snapped. He hesitated. My mom's making dinner. The look on her face was priceless shock, then fury, then something close to despair. She had thrown away everything for him, only to find herself tethered to a man who still relied on his mother for meals. She stormed past me, slamming the door so hard the frames on the wall rattled. Ryan followed silently. His shoulders slumped, not even glancing back. The apartment felt different after they left. Not just emptier, lighter. I sank onto the couch, exhaling for what felt like the first time in a month. Ethan set the food in front of me, his smile soft. Hungry, he asked. I nodded, laughing weakly. Starving. We ate together in the quiet, and for once the silence wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. For the first time in weeks, I felt something I thought I'd lost entirely. Freedom. 3 weeks after Ryan hauled the last box out of my apartment, I got the full update. According to mutual friends, Ryan was living with Samantha at her mother's house. Yes, her mother's. Apparently living together meant paying rent, following her rules, and respecting a strict 10 p.m. quiet time. Ryan, the aspiring musician, wasn't even allowed to practice at home. Samantha complained online constantly cryptic posts about fake friends and men who can't handle independent women. But nobody engaged anymore. The sympathy she once milked had dried up. Her soulmate narrative had turned into little more than an inside joke. Ryan's grand career turned out to be a few unpaid gigs at coffee shops, and since he'd racked up unpaid tickets, Samantha had to drive him everywhere. The girl who once bragged about her freedom now chauffeured a man who couldn't even hold his own license. The irony wasn't lost on anyone, and then came her most desperate move. One evening, while Ethan and I were on a quiet walk, my phone buzzed with notifications. Samantha had posted a photo of herself with a flat stomach, but the caption read, "Sometimes miracles happen. Starting this new chapter, he's going to be an amazing father." Comments exploded. Some congratulatory, others skeptical. My stomach twisted, but not with fear, because there was one fact Samantha conveniently ignored. I typed a single reply beneath her post, interesting, considering we haven't been intimate in months. Also, I had a procedure last year. Try again. The post vanished within minutes. But screenshots, they never vanish. Later that night, I heard Ryan dumped her on the spot. Turns out he hadn't known she was trying to baby trap me as a financial backup plan. A week later, she showed up at my door. Eyes red, mascara streaked her voice, trembling. Liliana, I messed up. I see that now. Ryan was a mistake. We had 3 good years. Please, can we try again? Even just as friends. I leaned against the doorframe, watching the wreckage of the girl who once smirked in my living room. You made your choice, Samantha. Now live with it. Her tears spilled faster. Ethan doesn't really love you. He just wanted what Ryan had. From inside, Ethan's voice carried as he walked toward us. Calm, steady, certain. No, Samantha. I wanted someone who wouldn't throw me away the second an ex texted. I found her. Her face crumpled, and without another word, she turned and disappeared down the hall. These days, life feels different, quieter, lighter. Ethan and I are taking things slow. No rushing, no games. He listens, he shows up, and when he holds my hand, I don't feel like I'm gripping onto someone about to slip away. I feel safe. Safe in a way I hadn't realized I'd been missing. Sometimes karma doesn't come with fireworks or grand revenge schemes. Sometimes it's just watching the people who wronged you unravel by their own choices while you quietly rebuild. And as I sat on my balcony one evening, Ethan beside me, the sunset painting the sky in streaks of gold, a thought settled over me like peace itself.